to the Unconstitutional Awakening program.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Brought to you by Kyanite, consultant redesigned.
Ahoy there, and welcome to another episode of Unconstitutional Awakening. I got Bandit and KellKell with me tonight, and we've got a special guest who's Jody Albert Maas. He's into some really cool things. I found him online. Actually, I found him on TikTok, which of course you guys know that'll be linked in the links on the website and everywhere you stream us. But I found him on TikTok, and he introduced me to Arcturian energy, and I was very curious, and I seen that he wrote a book, and I keep following his videos and stuff like that because I just keep learning so much more. And I thought this was somebody I needed everybody else out here to hear what he had to say and to hear what he's got going on, because it's some really cool stuff. So I'm gonna actually just turn it over to him right now. Jody, what can you tell us about us, bud?
Wonderful. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm very honored. What can I tell you about me? Well, I'm an older guy, so I'm 62. So back in the day when I was learning about these energies and going through these experiences, there was no support system. There was no books. We were using terms like ESP. When was the last time you heard that, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So it's hard to stay focused here, but I ended up writing my book. I'll start there. And I wrote my book because I really want people in the world to know that the experiences that I've had, most people are having similar experiences. They're a little bit different, but they're the same. We are all evolving. We're all going through these energies and affected by these energies, especially the new ones being anchored now in this. Everybody's on the 5D ascension kick.
Sure.
But like I say, when I was younger, I was told to get an education, get a trade, go to school, get married, the whole thing, the whole programming of the day back then. And none of it worked for me. So it was in my mid-30s that I really realized what my spiritual path was. And it happened to me in a way. On my right leg, I have a series of freckles. And it's in the shape of the constellation, the Big Dipper.
Oh, wow.
And off the handle of the Big Dipper, there's two more freckles, one being bigger than the other. And that freckle points to the planet Arcturus. And I saw that on a cover of a book, and that was the first time I knew I had an Arcturian connection. So I refer to these as star maps on our bodies.
Yeah. Whoa. So you've got a birthmark that is the Big Dipper. Like that's
a series of freckles.
Yeah,
series of freckles. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Like that, I always say that we're all connected back in, the universe in different kinds of ways, and seeing something like that, or even just hearing something like that, I find that actually super intriguing. So like, I guess if I found that on myself too, I'd have to start digging more myself as well.
You might have to have a look, because a lot of people, once I mention it to them, they find them. And they're in places where you can see them unaided, like not with a mirror, and it's not on your back. It'll be where you can visually see them.
Oh,
it could be 3 stars in the shape of a triangle. There's lots of things. It's just the awareness of, right?
Sure.
We just overlook so much of the simple. All these Arcturian energies. You don't have to do anything. I believe the day of going into a trance and having someone channel all this it's gone. Like with these new energies, I don't do anything. I have a connection 24/7, and I believe most of us do. It's that inner dialogue we carry on. We don't know where that's coming from all the time.
Right.
And those energies are all around us. And you and I were talking earlier, and really, it's overlooking the simplicity. In this spiritual communities of today, everybody wants to have these protocols and this complication. Respectfully so, they're important, but don't let them be the driving factor, because you'll overlook so much that's right in front of you, right?
Absolutely.
They say if you want to hide from someone, hide real close to them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's this information's everywhere. And the high dimensional energies, they can't interfere, but they can put the information all around us. How do we tap in? We stop, we slow down our lives, we reconnect with nature. We do simple breathing exercises just to center ourselves and refocus, and it's all there.
Now I have seen in some of your videos where you kind of do the breathing stuff and the things like that inside your little like hut that you have built out there.
Yep. So the energies have taken me, like it began with handheld Arcturian crystal devices.
Okay.
So they're like the copper rods with the coils, with the crystals and the light. And that's where it all began. And I go through all this in my book. And it went into the pendants. And that was about 30 years ago, 32 years ago.
These pendants right here, right?
Yep. That's Arcturian technology. It's a circuit. There's a computer chip in there with information. I was given information in the form of a mantra, which is like a prayer said over and over. It's on that chip. It has a receiver, an amplifier, and a transmitter. Herkimer diamonds. You can see the Herkimer diamonds on it. And it's basically designed to convert anything that's not in harmony with us to positive and retransmit it back out. So that's
Jody,
yeah.
Is it similar to the Archon, like pyramids, the Archon energy pyramids that they're making these days? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? They had the pyramids with the copper coil in it and some metal fragments or whatever. They say it can harness energy if you wear a pendant or if you have it in a room with you. Is that similar to that?
Is that like the orgone stuff?
Yeah, the orgone stuff.
Yeah. You know what? By definition, the pendants, everything is, I guess, orgonite, because it's crystals, it's natural materials, and there are resins, right? So technically it is. Sure. But these were designed before I even knew what that was, before it even became mainstream. I mean, I'm going back 32 years.
Right.
And I was told by psychics and spiritual people back then that these things that I made were 35 to 40 years in advance of anything that's ever been seen. So my pyramid in the basement is three-sided. I didn't do four-sided. Everything for me is a trinity. It's three. And it's got programmable sand in it. They're composed of three different metals. Lots in. Go ahead.
That's actually intriguing that you do it in the Trinity in the three, because like that's one of those kind of ancient things that you don't see anymore. A lot of the newer stuff is like four-sided pyramids and stuff like that, and the three-sided has like a divine thing tied to it in many religions. You know, the Trinity effect or whatever. So like, you know, and I'm not a religious person, but I know that it's them trying to interpret, you know, reality into something. But like they do talk about the Trinity in many different religions, and that's something that I was actually looking at today. That it's funny that you bring that up. Like I find that's superbly interesting. Like this is all good. You go ahead and continue. I apologize.
No worries. It's all good. The symbol on the cover of my book. I don't know if you have the book there.
I do. I can pull it right back up. And
I think you're sitting in front of a three-sided triangle behind you too, right?
My
and
stuff. My flag.
Yeah. What's behind you? Is that a triangle?
That is a interesting flag creation of my own. It does have triangles in it though. Yes, because the triangle. I got mine from the Sirius star system. That's where mine is like based out of.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I guess still is basically the same thing. I mean, because again, Trinity, it all ties back into things. So, but yeah, here's your book again. You were bringing that up.
So there's the symbol, right?
Yes.
That's the Tekoa symbol, the key of ascension, and it works with the Trinity energy repeated over and over and over again.
Okay.
So what happens with me is I start receiving information, and I'm the world's biggest procrastinator, right? So I put it off till I have so much anxiety that I have to do something.
Sure.
So at the time I had a house, and I painted all the walls and the ceiling, the color blue that's on the cover of the book, and I painted the symbol. It took me a week. The temperature in that room got so hot I had to paint in shorts. And that's how that symbol came out. But it's the Trinity repeated over and over.
Yeah.
And to speak to what you were saying earlier, I'm not an organized religion fella, but I believe everybody's where they are because it's where they need to be at the time. And you know, we all change, right? So I was born, baptized, confirmed Anglican. So the Trinity for me always represented the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right?
Sure.
And that's what all is incorporated into all this stuff. Now it can use it can use mind, body, spirit. It's just the three energies, right?
Right.
So I touch on that in my book too, and you know, things that I've talked to and moved along, but everything I do is the Trinity, three.
Yeah.
I believe the old pyramids were for a reason. You know, I'm past president of the Canadian Society of Dowsers. I've been around the energy world. I've done my research. Everybody talks about ascension. Not everybody. I'm just kind of putting everybody in the same box. But they talk about ascension and wanting to evolve, but they want to work with the old energies all the time. Even in the dowsing world, they want to work with the old energies all the time.
Now, see,
I don't.
That was actually something that else that intrigued me about you is I've watched a lot of your dowsing videos, and that's something I actually believe in, something I've actually practiced, and something that I've, seen firsthand too myself. Like dowsing is really amazing. Actually, for those who don't know, I think I'd like to let Jody explain it because I think he does a great job at it.
Yeah, dowsing. So basically, most people will understand it as pendulums and L rods. And originally, they would go to a tree and cut a Y-shaped rod, branches, and use it to locate water. Yeah. So that's where it really started out from, and it's gone to the moon in this era. People are doing everything with dowsing, and that's all good. Yeah. But we can't forget about the simple process. Like in my dowsing workshop, I teach people how to find water, how to determine which way it's flowing, how deep it is, how to divert, how to change the direction of that stream. Because everyone wants to clear houses and work with negative energy, right?
Right.
Well, I do house clearings as well. But for me, part of the process is locating the veins of water that are, I'm going to say negative, entering our homes, underneath our homes, and neutralizing them or rediverting them. It works the same way as taking the logs out of a fire. You take the fuel away. You take the veins of water away. Now you'll have a better success rate at clearing the home. So it's part of the process for me, and a lot of people overlook that.
And like, I've done it as far as like finding the water on, that aspect of it. Like down here in the Southeast, it's really referred to a lot as witching. And
yep.
And like it's a pretty common thing, actually. I've seen firsthand it be more accurate and on point than the so-called professional locators that come out there and find the water. Like it's quite hilarious, actually, that something so so ancient, so simple, as even you would say there, I guess, it can do something so amazing. And I think it's something important that a lot of people should learn. And I do advise you would, because again, I'll have all of his stuff shared. Make sure you check it out and check out maybe his course on this, because I think a lot of people could learn something from this. Like it's an important tool in many aspects.
This might get me in some hot water, but I've been in hot water before. You locate yourself a good witcher, and you'll get good drinkable water in the shortest depth, in the lowest amount of depth. A lot of the companies that you're going to bring in, they want to go 900,000 feet down. How much per foot are they charging you, right?
Sure.
That's not always the way the local guy goes, or the local woman that locates a stream. I've found water that's like 8 to 9 feet down.
Wow.
Streams,
Yeah.
So you want to go for that rather than going 1,000 feet down.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's definitely natural streams. People don't realize how close there's many natural streams just below their feet on a regular basis. I've
But it's
seen
the
it-
people that come out and like the professional companies, or if you get a geological survey done to find out where you can get a well dug, you have to pay for permits. You have to pay the king to get permission to drill for water on your own land.
Absolutely.
They're going to get paid. They're going to get paid no matter what. If they come out and if they're 20 meters off of the water source and they stake down a well, they're going to get paid regardless.
Yep.
Somebody that comes out and does water dowsing on your property to try to find water, they're going to find you the best water. They're going to find you. They're going to find it the most shallow to drill, because it's not their company that's at stake. It's their own personal. They're at stake. Their reputation at what they do is at stake when they come out and do something like that.
Sure.
Absolutely. It's their integrity. I'll share a story. My parents bought a farm out in the country, and they needed a well. So a lot of this happened, and I didn't know what was going on, right? So, and this was way before I was even really interested in dowsing. And the well was in. And the well was terrible. There was hardly no water. So my grandfather and my grandmother were out one day, and my grandfather goes over to the apple tree, cuts a branch off. He says, "Come on over here." "What are you doing?" He goes, "Hang on to my hand." Well, I was 21 at the time. I didn't want to hang on to my grandfather's hand, but I did, right? So we had our left hands. We were holding our left hands, and our right hands, I guess my right hand, his left hand, were on this wire rod that he had cut from the tree. And he started walking towards the well that my parents had already put in, right?
Right.
And about 6 inches away, this wire rod dove right down to the ground. We backed up and we did it again. It went down with such force that it cut the skin on my little finger. And I said to my grandfather, I said, "What's going on here? Why is this?" He goes, "That's where they should have dug the well. That's where I told them to dig the well." I said, "Is 6 inches going to make that much difference?" He says, "In rock, yeah." So they wouldn't listen to him. They moved, they were off 6 inches, and the water supply was terrible.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I got a question for the Joe. Like, is there any way, like with pendulum, it's not actually the pendulum, like when you ask it a question and it moves, because is your subconscious mind, you tap it into your nerve systems, right? Is there any way to dowse without? Hold on, son. Is there any way to dowse without, like, the apparatus of the stick or whatever? Can you attune yourself enough to not have to use anything? Have you ever heard of anybody got that desensitized to where they could find it without any apparatus?
Absolutely. And I teach that. Wow. That's the main. So you're exactly right. The way this works, it's not the L rod and it's not the pendulum doing it. Like, a lot of people have it wrong. They think it's the device doing it. It's not. It's the ability, and there's a bit of skill set here because you are talking to your subconscious mind. So you have to be very simplistic in your questions, and you have to mean it. Like, your subconscious mind's like a monkey jumping around in there. If you're not firm with it, you won't get good results. So we ask a question: is there a vein of water in front of me? And we use our L rods and get our response. But where that question went was to our higher self, just a part of us. And that's where all knowledge is known and the answers are given. So the answer filters down into our bodies, into our nervous system, into our arms and hands, and really minutely makes the muscles move. You can't see it, but it's actually you moving the rods and the pendulum. Yeah, you're giving yourself, it's just giving you a response, a visual, but it's you getting, and what happens is I also teach, I probably won't get them all now because I won't remember, but there's 7 levels to dowsing. Basically, it's on site, so you have to be right in the field where you're going. The second level is you can be off by the road and use your rods to find out where it is. And as you go up to these levels, I think it's after the 3rd or 4th level, you get rid of the devices. You don't need them.
Right.
It's just a training person. It's just a training process to tune you up. And if you haven't been shut down, you don't need dowsing. You can walk. Well, I can walk through a field and tell you what's there without anything.
Nice.
And, you know, Jody, that's the problem. Like, people get caught up on the rituals, and they give the power to the rituals and forget the ritual is just training you on how to tap into your own truth.
KellKell, you're having a little bit of trouble there.
I'm sorry. Yes, some truths will ensnare you. Some knowledge you get caught in, and they get caught up on the rituals, Joey, is what I'm trying to say. Instead of like starting out with the rituals and then growing, allowing yourself to grow. So over a period of time, they give the power to the pendulum. They think the power is in the pendulum, and the power is in the rods.
I've seen that too. So there was something else I had seen a lot on your YouTube page. These aura-coated Kyanite crystals.
Oh yeah, my wife is the other half of the equation. I understand and I work with crystals, but she's the one that's all those crystals you're seeing. She inventories them. The Kyanite crystals, yeah, they're beautiful.
And so of course I've seen. I guess of course that's at your Crystal Squared, which I can pull that up right here. These, and for those of you listening, of course, you can go here and check this out. All the stuff that I'm talking about. It's got your Trinity pendants on there and stuff. So is it the amethysts and the tanzanite, I guess?
You were thinking of the aura-coated kyanite.
Yes. Is that on here as well?
Should be on our website. Under stones. The other thing we've done is, because I'm located in basically Toronto, Ontario, Canada, is we're inventorying a lot of Canadian stones now, because the red cap amethyst is coming out of Thunder Bay, and
Well, I did see those other stones over here on the ones.
There it is. There's the kyanite. Yeah, beautiful right stuff.
It is, and I guess I don't know much about kyanite, so could you familiarize with me with that one?
Yeah, she's a real expert on that. I use this stuff for astral projection and energy work, projecting my consciousness. I have a double, a male-female piece on the headboard of my bed, right where I sleep. So I use them for energetic purposes, and a lot of the crystals that we're inventorying, we're not just taking the run-of-mill what everybody else has. We want good quality, good energetic value crystals, right?
Sure.
And in saying that also, like I was just on another platform last night talking about this, don't overlook the stones you walk by every day on the ground, eh? Hey. They're there for a reason, and you incarnated to that place. You're living where you're living for a reason. So don't overlook they're all alive. Stones are alive, trees are alive, everything's alive. So I look at them as friends, and they want to work with you, and you want to work with them. So pick a few of them up and bring them home, and you'll find them every bit as powerful as some $6,000 crystal you're going to buy.
Sure. And that's very true. Like as far as, like things being nearby that are necessary, I'm really big into holistic type health and stuff. And I believe that, a lot of your medicines and food grow around you, and things that are needed will like start appearing, more in your yard, like certain vegetation and stuff like that, because it's the universe's way of saying, hey, you need this because your body's lacking it. And people don't pay attention to these small little minute details of their own personal surrounding, I believe, and because everybody's just hustle and bustle and go and stuff like this, and other stuff that I talk about. It's really about slowing down for a minute and noticing the world around you and realizing that it is the energy and the ability to change it. There's so much here. This is great stuff. Go ahead. I don't want to
slow it down. Everybody stop, take a breath, focus. Yeah. And you're absolutely 1,000% right. Creator will bring the herbs close to you. If it's showing up around where you live, you need it. And I'll give you an example. I never had this certain plant here till 2 years ago. And we all basically know what's happened the last couple of years.
Sure.
Well, this plant is mullein. So if you know of anybody with lung conditions, you get them some mullein, get some tea in them.
Right.
I've had about 8 people up here that have come to me for mullein this year, and it works.
Oh, that mullein's fantastic, and it's actually been, I've seen it a lot here recently coming back into play for a lot of people. You know, we've all been told it was a weed for all these years, and folks are out there spraying Roundup on it when it's a great, you know, beneficial thing. There's many sources from it, you know, not just using it to make teas and stuff, but I've seen people make tinctures out of it, and you know, even make salads and stuff out of the greens from it and such. Like it's something people should really pay attention to, because I can't reiterate enough that medicine grows around you. Like I've talked about this before, and people, I think if they would pay attention to that more, we wouldn't hear everybody crying for, you know, more government hand in like healthcare and stuff, because, you know, the medicine's right out your front door if you know what you're doing.
It's imperative for us to it's an art that's slipping away, because the system, you know, it benefits more by us not knowing the natural remedies. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Holistic healing. Disease starts, fellas, with the diets. Yes. You know, so if we're eating processed food and not eating food from Mother Earth anymore, you know, they're preparing all our food and all these ingredients and stuff in them. It's just imperative that we stick to the art. So fellas like us that has certain remedies, we need to, you know, document them and keep them safe, you know, because it's gonna come a time, I believe, that humanity gonna need the healing from the earth, from the herbs, and from nature.
I'm also a big believer that you know, that energy, like you can use these kind, you know, this kind of energy power and stuff to heal yourself of ailments and such. Like I'm sure you'll probably agree with me there, Jody.
Energy ties in with diet. You can't have a bad diet.
I'm not disagreeing, bud.
No, I'm just paraphrasing and expounding on what you're saying. Like a lot of the witches, when they was healing, they didn't eat impurities. They they ate foods that was light and gave them energy, not slow their metabolism down and stuff like that. The heavier foods you eat, meats, if your system always working. And a lot of them, when they did their healing, they fasted during that time. So your organs are not working. They're harnessing all and then that's where they was able to tap in more and use that, back to what the topic is, energy. They was able to channel it where they want to, and didn't even have to be in your proximity. You know, there's some powerful people, bro. You know,
absolutely.
There's some powerful people out here, and some of them don't even know they're powerful, but they presence, they are preceded by their body. You can feel when they walk in the room, it electrifies a room. Some people energy, when you get around them, they zap all the energy away from you. Everything is about energy now. I'm sorry, fellas. I just wanted to touch on.
No worries. There's going to be about 10 shows coming off of this one, I think. You're absolutely right, you know. And I use the term creator a lot. It means
I love it.
You know. But anyways, creator, I said, like, I'm an older guy. I don't have a great memory. My learning abilities, and I know I'm putting myself in a box by saying that. I said, just give me 3 medicines a year that grow on my property. So that was a couple of years ago, and I got tons of them now that I've learned, because they came at me in groups of 3, right?
Right.
Take it the way you can handle it. And the other thing that they said to me, because I do energy work here, and I do drumming and rattling, and I got a sweat lodge here and an Arcturian star chamber here. Mine's an Arcturian star lodge, so it's a triangular shaped little structure with a wood stove in it. So that's what I do, and I've had lots of people come for energy work. To do your energy work. I'm giving you all the herbs you need right here on the land.
Right.
So that was very powerful for me. For the work that I do here, I harvest the sumac, the catnip, the mullein, the plantain, all the energies from this land I incorporate into the energy work that I do here. And it's just enhanced it 1,000%.
Nice. I had a conversation with a bush doctor from Jamaica, right? You know, they deep into that there. And they said if you don't project the right healing thought into your potion, that is not going to work properly. You can have the right herbs, but if the practitioner is not projecting, so thought, a conscientious thought, and like some people, you could project a blessing into your water before you drink it. They call it praying over your food, but they don't know it's the science behind that. And yeah, I just wanted to say no problem. I'll be in there 1 second. Sorry, fellas.
But you said
go ahead, JB.
Oh, you're good. So, and I hear you mention your little sweat lodge. And I've actually seen a couple of your videos where you were touching about your sweat lodge. Like I see that, and now that I'm sitting here digging, I see that you kind of, you host things, of course. So I guess a little more information on that for people that wouldn't know.
That's pretty much, there's two kinds. There's the kind that I have on the website, which is like a workshop where I take them in, introduce them, and it doesn't get really hot because a lot of people can't handle that. There is the hot aspect of it, but traditionally, elders have come to me and we go in, and people that are kind of experienced at it, then we go into that kind of a Arcturian Star Lodge, because it gets really hot and steamy in there, and lots of things happen.
It's like the Native Americans did this.
Yep.
Yeah, this has been used for thousands of years.
Yep.
Is this the inside of one of them, or is this?
That's the inside of the Arcturian Star Chamber.
Okay.
So I was recently last fall inspired to make a 9-sided structure.
Okay.
So that's what this is, and that's.
Do you mind if I share it with everyone? Of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yep. I don't have any secrets. It's all out there. Sweat lodge has been around for a long time, and predating sweat lodges, Europeans used to heat up small caves, and there was always heat, heat and darkness. Push your, I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it takes you to a place where I say the veil becomes very thin and things can happen. Communication. We've had some pretty good experiences in there.
Yeah.
Just to go back to the Europeans, I mean, the Swedes do it with saunas.
Yep.
They'll have it like a sweat out. You'll sit in this sauna, in like extremely hot sauna, and like almost like a body purification thing to kind of flush everything out. So I mean, it's like it's a worldwide thing.
Sure, yeah. Like I've seen sauna type stuff everywhere, but like especially when you get back into like some ancient type stuff, and I'm sure this Arcturian stuff's like that as well. Like he was saying, he doesn't get it that hot, and like I know that they get a lot of those sweat lodges like ridiculously hot because you're trying to force all of that just nasty out of your body, and I've seen people try to use it as well as like a spiritual type thing. When they're on a spiritual journey, they'll push themselves to a limit beyond what they usually would inside of one of those things to help bring themselves to that next level. Because you mentioned way earlier that everybody's at a different level, and that's something I truly respect. Like I understand it, the older I get and the more that I deal with this kind of stuff, is that some people are at certain levels. Like and you can't be upset with them if they're not at the level you are yet. And all you can do is show them. And if they're not ready to understand it, cool. But eventually they might come back around to it because they might actually be ready to understand it one day. And that's why I love to put this information out there, because there might only be one person that I'm getting this to in this episode or whatever, but that one person was meant to get this message to me. And I believe stuff like that. Like I truly believe it's all connected through a bunch of crazy stuff. Like there's a reason I'm kind of a goofy guy that everybody digs on the internet.
No, once you get to know him, he's not that goofy.
Yeah. I encourage everybody to do the sweating. I mean, once a month at least. I can do them once a week. The ones I do for myself, I get them really hot.
Yeah.
I got a wood stove in there because we're not allowed to have open fires. The other message that Peter said, just because you hit an obstacle doesn't mean you can't find a way around that obstacle, right? So I have a small wood stove in there. And, when the elders come, I tell them it's not a traditional sweat. There's a wood stove in there. It's a 3-sided triangle. You're welcome to come, but it's different. And they've all had great experiences, right? It's part of speaking to the cleansing again. And something you're seeing a lot of all over these social platforms now is that the calendar's all wrong. We're supposed to go in the moon cycles.
Correct.
So it's actually 13.
Yeah, the Gregorian calendar
Absolutely
that we
right.
the Gregorian, right? I think we use the Gregorian candle. We're supposed to be on a 13-month calendar.
Yes.
We're not this 12-month. This 12-month calendar is the worst for like a person's natural cycle.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
We could do another
the
episode.
power structures know
How
that.
screwed up it is.
They know that too, Bandit.
I think the Mayans ran on a 13-month calendar.
The Ethiopians
Mayans or the
still run on a
Aztecs? There was one-
13-month calendar.
Say again.
The Ethiopians still run on a 13-month.
Yeah. And their years is actually like they're not in 2022 right now.
No, I think they're in 2014.
They're in 2014. 2020 for us was 2012 for them.
Yeah.
By the Mayan, Mayan calendar, by the Ethiopian calendar, is right on time.
Sure.
If you go by like the 13-month calendar, the moon's the cycles of the moon, you actually like they found that if it'd be virtually impossible. But they say that it would be the best for like a person's natural sleep cycle.
Yes.
Like everything would. I mean, everything would go back to like plants would grow better. I mean, there's just so much tied into that right now that it just most people don't even have a clue.
Well, I do all my work as close to the full moon as I can.
Fantastic.
So, and I've started doing that about
Well, the full moon.
You got to be in the natural cycles of the earth. You got to be in tune. You can't be out of harmony.
True. And that, we've being put on that calendar all those years ago, people don't realize actually, deharmonize their body greatly. Like I believe there's like a unfolding global conspiracy and that there's, people that are
there's a
pulling
reason
strings.
for it. No, you're absolutely right. No, there's a reason for it.
There's people pulling strings and, controlling aspects of our life for their own personal gain. And they know this kind of information. Like, of course, again, they call it occult, but I believe occult just means hidden. And they're using this kind of information, I think, to project the will of the planet and the current shape that it is. And I think it's important that more people learn it at their own pace and take it for what it is. Because the world is a lot more magical than people really understand. And if you really take it for what it is and you put this stuff that people talk about like this into practice, regardless of the form that it is, because at the end of the day, one thing I do see in common is that it all has very large similarities. And the further back you go, which is why I kind of like having you here, Jody, because you are, older than every one of us that are sitting here, of course, this evening. But like it's because you have this going on before it was a popular thing. So like I see the version that you're talking about as something that I'm thankful to talk to you because it would be lost because I have never seen anybody else actually talking about it. And they've talked about different forms of it. And, I appreciate this greatly because like people need to realize this energy stuff is very important. And I don't know. I bring it up a lot. Like I've had a few different energy healers on here and, let's
talk about why they kind of, it's not becoming lost. They want to bury it. Let's talk about why they want to bury it. Because if more people realized that everything that they need comes from the earth, big corporations would lose control.
Yes.
They would lose control. I mean, here, take this pill. Oh, you don't need to take that pill. Anything you need, medicinal-wise, comes from the ground. Oh, you can grow your own fruits and vegetables in abundance. You don't need to go to the grocery store. I mean, with everything, you can heal yourself without a doctor. You don't need to go to the hospital.
Hey, Bandit, that's why they let when you're paying a mortgage, they'll let you cut the grass, but they don't want you to grow a garden.
So let's go farther back then. Let's go farther back than that.
All right.
You don't even need the vegetables. You can get the energy from the sun. And this is where we've been led to believe we need all this stuff. the world in the early 1900s, and there's this other thing going on the internet now called the big mudslide or something.
The mud flood.
The mud flood.
Where technology's been buried.
Yep.
They don't want us to know. We could have taken a spiritual path. We took the technology path. We don't need anything. There's a great book called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And in the early 1900s, they went to India and they documented these gurus doing these fantastic miracles, but they just said it's life. So we can do all that, you know. They say that everything is created from our thoughts. So my big premise is if you can't think the right thoughts, don't think. So meditate, right? So we're not feeding this so-called matrix thing. So in all my content, I'm just trying to get people to think differently, because if you get a whole bunch of people thinking differently all at the same time, you get a shift, right?
Absolutely. Like
so the program, media, we got to have houses that are square. We got to have them in subdivisions. We got to have this. Can't have any trees. We got to have cars. All this is drilled at us 24/7 on the TV. Yeah. If we all stepped out of that and meditated and made our minds go blank, the whole world that we look out from our eyes would change in a second right in front of us. We would see those other parts. We only see 10% of what's around us.
Sure.
That's because we're and all the fear and the anger, and let it go, folks. We start right now and live in the present moment. Yeah, we're in a trance. We're in a mass trance.
Yeah. If you're not at work, you're in front of the TV. If you're not in front of the TV, you're looking at your cell phone. If you're not in front of your cell phone, you're staring at the computer screen. And if you're not doing any of those things, you're asleep. So, but that's what they want, though. They want you absorbed. They want you totally absorbed into, whatever electronic device you've got near you. And you don't take the time. So you don't take the time to open up your eyes and see what's really going on.
Right. And
absolutely.
And kids are indoctrinated in the public school system to, rely on the state to give you everything. Be good little taxpayers. Go get a job. You don't need any of that. And they want to classify you as like quacks. That dude believes in energy healing. He's a total wacko, man. He's a quack. Oh, you're injured. You need to go to the doctor. But that's just me. Yeah,
I do know. And the thing is, that person's an energy healer. Well, that energy healer doesn't get sick very often, does he? Because what he does keeps his illness starts in the energy, manifests in the physical if you don't do anything about it, basically, and food and diet enhance it, right? So I want to speak to, if I can.
You broke up a little bit there, Jody.
What?
He's got my internet.
He does. Well, we can wait for you to get connected back up. You seem to be having a little bit of trouble.
Oh, it's okay. I'll just. He was talking about putting energy into things that we do, like into our medicines and whatever. And my whole thing is, I say everything is 25%. So if you're looking at a pen, there's a pen. That pen is 25%. The other 75% is me. It's like we are bigger parts of the equation. I don't know if you're familiar with radionics. So they make these radionics machines. They work on frequency, but the operator is more important than the radionics machine. Okay. So basically my pyramid downstairs and my power rods are a form of radionics, because the pyramid is 25%. And when I'm working with people in it, I'm the other 75%. So it's our skill and ability. We are more, and if we can work on ourselves, our minds, our thoughts, our bodies, what we do when we work, when we put our hands on people, when we write, when we communicate here, people get that energy. They feel it, right? This is a 25% world we live in. The rest of it's all energetic.
Hey, Jody, we people use the energy unconsciously. Like if you pick up the phone and call a loved one and they say, I was just thinking about you, but the trick is how to harness it and do it consciously. And that's where they're demonizing something and they calling it a craft when you was born with this, bro, before you knew what words was, you know how to sense,
Absolutely.
you know how to sense mother's energy or father's energy or whoever's energy before you know how to speak a language. See, now they done demonized it, Jay. And now we got to relearn and teach ourselves. And innately, I believe that just like a lion that's born in a zoo, he hears the call of the wild still. People hear the call of energy trying to get them to harness it and use it. Like the vril coat. You familiar with the vril coat, Jody? The long hair. All the women had long hair, and Hitler supposed to have it. Went to them. A lot of the elite was going to them for certain things. It don't belong to anybody, fellas. You can't monopolize it. You can't keep people away from learning how to use their energy.
Well,
but
I say that all the time. You might be able to, kill a person, but you cannot kill an idea, and you cannot kill something that comes from your higher self, because, your higher self is a real thing. Like I say this almost every episode because we somehow get to it, but we're flesh mechs carrying around a spiritual being, and like the body that's right here. I mean, sure, it matters now, but it doesn't matter at the end, because like in reality, this is coming back again. I really believe that. And I think that, that we are drawn back to this stuff, especially, in this lifetime. Like you're so advanced and you're teaching people more about this stuff. And, I'm out here talking about this stuff with people and stuff like that. And I think that's because a past life self of me knew more about this, at one point in time. And I'm coming back in, and I came back into it, to continue a mission. Like I truly believe that these energy beings that we are have some form of a mission while we're here, as yours, of course, seems to be teaching. I believe mine is more of I'm trying to find people. Like I'm trying to find these people to put the puzzle back together so that we can shift this reality. Because if it keeps going the direction that it's going, like, of course, it's terrifying, blah, blah, blah. Me and Bandit kind of agree on this. At the end of the day, humans will always prevail. Like, I don't care what the elite or whatever you want to call them are doing. At the end of the day, humans will always finally get sick of it and, take back what's theirs. And I think it would be greater for humanity as a whole to take back what's theirs through energy and through spirituality of a sense. And, like it practices like yourself here, Jody. And, I know KellKell is big into and stuff like that. Like these are things that are actually going to shift our reality to a more positive place.
So don't overlook the simple.
Yes.
Don't overlook the simple, right? You're an energy alchemist. That's what you are.
It's not just that. It's like, let's think about like if everything just like the whole big talk is like if everything just fell apart tomorrow. Okay. Everything just totally collapsed tomorrow. Sickness and injuries, and that's not going to go away. I mean, it's just because the doctors are no longer there, the hospitals are no longer there, pharmacies are no longer there. Illnesses and sicknesses and injuries aren't going to just simply disappear. They're still going to be there. We're going to be relying on people like Jody, Jimmy. We're going to totally be relying on you guys for medicinal needs. So, I mean,
yeah, no, I mean there is a very big reality to that. I'm big into, this goes back to holistic health, because I believe holistic health and, energy health run hand in hand. And you mentioned earlier about, the people just needing the sun. I've actually had the chance to talk to a couple sun eaters before, like people that they've claimed to have been around a very long time, and all they ingest is water and the sun. And I find it very interesting. I question it, of course, but when you really start digging into the esoteric parts of history and the world and stuff, you see that it might actually have some, reality base to it. And I just find it interesting that the closer you get to Mother Earth, the healthier you get, but yet people don't want to see it that way. They think that every advanced modern medical thing is what it is. And sure, don't get me wrong, modern surgical advancements are absolutely amazing. Like, I mean, you could save me from my leg being chopped off. My rate of surviving that is way higher now.
Yeah.
But
petroleum-based medication is what you're talking about. That is
exactly right.
That has been nothing but detrimental. That has been a negative.
And its inception came from the Rockefeller Foundation.
Sure. But I mean,
nothing but a bad effect on humanity.
I think generations of it being, fed to everyone. Because I mean, look what do they do when they get a kid that can't sit still and a 6-year-old boy to sit a 6-year-old boy in elementary school can't sit still. What do? They prescribe ADHD medicine.
Yeah, they give them a pill.
And when you look at what these pills are, a lot of them are practically methamphetamine.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that you're not creating a dependent,
you find me a 6-year-old that can sit still for more than 10 minutes listening to you talk. Well,
absolutely.
That is the thing. They want you medicated.
Yes, they do.
They want you medicated. They want you overweight. They want you obedient. They want your mind foggy. They want you to think that natural healers, energy healers are whack jobs, quacks.
Sure.
Because
once upon a time, there was no ADHD. And Jody, you know what I'm talking about. When you was coming up, there wasn't no such diagnosis. Oh, he got ADHD. Kids are normal. Kids are supposed to be active.
No ADHD.
I couldn't concentrate in school. I didn't want to be in school. Back in my day, we had no go-to. There was no support. So you went home, complained to your parents. You were told to suck it up and get outside and play. That's the way it was. It was like, we very much don't speak to you're spoken to. And there was none of this, and I believe in helping anybody that needs help. But I think the whole system has gone like crazy.
Oh, it's gone bananas.
Let's go back. Let's just think. Let's change our thinking for a bit.
Sure.
What kind of animal in nature eats 3 meals a day?
None.
I haven't.
If you're a wild animal,
a day in a long time.
You might be going 2 or 3
hungry.
days.
You eat when you're hungry.
Right.
But okay, so now we're going to bring up the food pyramid. Oh, yeah. So one of the biggest pieces of garbage that they have ever lobbied to get out in the open was the food pyramid. Mm-hmm. The food pyramid will do nothing good for you.
It tears down the body, the system. It makes you sick.
It'll make you fat and slow.
I want to jump back over here to Jody. Of course, no animal makes 3 meals a day. I want to see what
fast. I started doing fasting like a year and a half ago. Intermittent fasting.
Yes.
I go 20 hours, no food, have a 4-hour window. And then sometimes when I'm going to go in a sweat lodge, I'll fast for like 18, 20, 22 hours before I go in, and we eat too much.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Way too much.
Way too much.
I believe your body works kind of like a car, okay? Like you get this brand new car and you keep up the oil and stuff, but over time it still takes a wear and tear and it internally has issues. And I truly believe that our insides, like every time you use them, because I'm big into the intermittent fasting too, and every time that you use your insides to digest food, especially garbage food, it's putting wear and tear that is unreversible on that car part. You know what I mean? Like it's going to eventually wear out. And I do truly agree that we eat way too much. And look at society though. We go to sporting events to eat. We go to, we'll go to the Renaissance Festival to eat. We go to the fair to eat.
Yeah,
we go over to people's houses to eat. Like everything we do seems to be based around food. And I get, having access to food is a great thing. And I'm sorry for the people that don't have better access to food. But I am saying, back in the day, the kings and queens that weren't the greatest people, and we're also not the healthiest people. We're
They were
always
fat.
and
Look at
overweight
the
because they
paintings
did all
of
the
them.
eating. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they did all the eating. And
But-
sure, the peasants were skinny and malnourished, but there was so much spirituality there because they were connected to their higher self, I think, because of this kind of thing. Like this, that's what all this like lost stuff is. I think in the Dark Ages, that's when they started like erasing history and trying to erase this stuff was in the Dark Ages. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the Great
Look
Reset.
at the obesity. Look at the obesity epidemic in America right now. You know, and the thing is, it's like it is cheaper at the grocery store to eat highly processed food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, going grocery shopping, with quite a few kids, and you got to get all of what you need.
Yeah.
It is more expensive to eat healthy than loading up a grocery cart full of garbage, frozen, highly processed food.
If I will agree with
And
that.
not only does that affect your body, it affects your mind.
Yes.
You know, because if you ingesting that processed food will cloud your mind. It won't allow you to think properly.
Well, I actually, I like to talk about that too, because like I know it's expensive. Like it is super expensive. Just go to the grocery store and buy healthy. And that's where I don't know where everybody lives out in the world. I know where this group lives on my side here. And, you said you're in Ontario, but over here in Georgia, where I am, we have a lot of roadside tomato stands. And those roadside tomato stands have a plethora of actual locally grown farm vegetables. And I actually I can't always do it. I'm not trying to say I'm a saint, but I try to do my shopping with them, especially on things I don't grow myself, because that's where I'm going to get real food. Like I'm not getting the stuff that is probably from last season and has been frozen all year and just de-thawed and brought to the store for you. Like I don't think people realize that it's terrible to say, and I know this is going to make me sound like a terrible human being, but I'm actually not concerned about these food processing plants burning down, because if it's going to help get people off of the garbage, bring it on. Like I think everybody needs to get out there and make, especially now while it's early enough, all you listeners out there, you need to get out there and make you a victory garden. You can grow so much in a small little place, and you can do it in buckets and stuff. If the neighborhood won't let you, put it in your backyard and put it in a 5-gallon bucket and get to it. Like there's ways around it. There's answers to it. And I think you will not only save more money, chickens. I mean, I love chickens. Like
chickens. Hey, and check this out for listeners. Within city limits, you can only have chickens with no rooster. Okay.
That's great.
Quail, domestically raised quail. You can have quail roosters in town because their crow is so quiet your neighbors won't hear it. Raise your own food, and you'll be surprised at even just a short amount of time with changing your diet. Like how clearly to think. Really, I mean, once you
say something, Bandit.
your body starts processing out all of these things that you've eaten over the years, and you get a healthier diet, your mind will be clearer.
Yes, Ben, I want to say something off of what you just said, fellas. Okay. It's people that have food allergies and still eat that food. Some foods that give them heartburn, guess what? They'll take the antigestin pills, and then they're gonna eat the meal again, not listening to the body. You see?
Now I'm gonna cut you off, and this is just my personal thing. I believe a lot of your food allergies come from additives,
right?
Because let's talk the gluten. Mention gluten.
Okay, because gluten. You're gonna fire me up. I think the gluten allergy is. I think the gluten allergy is nonsense. I think the gluten allergy is a glyphosate allergy. It has been proven scientifically, because how are we going to be allergic to the first thing we've been eating since people could figure it out? Bread has been a part of the human diet for longer than any of us in this conversation have been alive. But modern bread is processed garbage. And that's why I've been working on an experiment, and I've actually got me some, it's not dry yet. I've got to dry it. I have been collecting wild wheat because down here in the South, there is grainy grass that grows everywhere, and it's wild wheat. And I'm going to start making my own bread because
get a sourdough starter, start up a sourdough start.
I think the bread in the stores is complete garbage and ruining the human diet. Like, that's just me. I mean, you get me started, but I think people need to look into it deeper. Like, I think food allergies result from the kind of food. But I have 2 people in my house that have a dairy allergy. Now, their dairy allergy is to cow's dairy. Sure. I have learned through time and trial and error that goat milk is of a different structure, and it is closer to a human's, structure for taking it in and being able to sustainably eat it. Because I also think dairy has been a part of human culture for years, because cheese has been something that's been around for longer than bread. But it's been with goats, and it was artisan type stuff. Your processed stuff is where your problems are. You have been relying on giant mega corporations that are looking for a profit to make your food. And that I personally find insane, because people that are looking to make a profit off of you aren't looking for your betterment. Like, I don't believe that, I don't believe you should sell yourself short. What you have to share with others is, of course, worth whatever you feel it's worth. But Nestle, if anybody knows Nestle, like the Nestle would, I could see Nestle, you're something Nestle would fear, Jody, because you have this, amazing power to find somebody fresh, clear, crystal water in their own life. And like Nestle doesn't like that because they can't make $5 a bottle off of you now.
Yeah. That's what they did. They polluted all the fresh water, eh?
They have all the accessible fresh water.
The lake water, yeah, lake and streams.
Nestle believes the CEO of Nestle believes, or even the CEO believes that water is not a right.
He does.
No, that's
crazy.
And I want to point out what Jody would agree with me when I say this. Like, it is so important what you put into your body. You're only going to reach your full potential with what you put in your body. I mean, right. That is the most. If we could take away anything from this conversation, it's like the importance of what you put into your body.
And I'm gonna tell you something else. Your thoughts too, Bandit. Like, you got to have your mind is a stomach too, fellas. Now you could eat all the right foods and everything, but if you have an impure, whatever you put in your mind, if it's not healthy, it doesn't matter what kind of healthy water, alkaline water, what type of diet you got. You could be sun gazing and everything, but you got to be in harmony. You got to be in tune. In tune. There's a passage in the Bible where Jesus say, "When the two become one."
But that of course is why I found it necessary to bring Jody on this evening, is because like he has a different way of approaching finding it. And sure, he has these tools that he's talked about and stuff, and that we've shared a little bit on here this evening. And of course I encourage everybody to, click the links below and make sure you check it out. But like he's teaching these things, and they're accessible for everyone out here, it seems. And he's teaching these things that I think are important to help tie people back to energy, back to what you said earlier, KellKell, about it being a stepping stone to harnessing it without the tools. I think through your videos, and in the stuff like here tonight, even, I have learned like just so much about, different ways of like harnessing energy and paying attention to things. And you reaffirmed everything I knew about witching and, added to it, and just in some of your like TikToks and stuff that I've enjoyed. And I just, I appreciate you being on here with us this evening. And, I don't mean to take up everybody's space. So I implore you, anything else you'd like to get out there this evening, go right ahead.
Just a couple things on the topic we were just on. Yeah. Don't overlook fermented foods, eh? Gut bacteria processes information faster than your brain.
Right there, man.
So you want to be an energy worker. You got to have good gut bacteria because it'll help you process energy. So I mean, your kefir. I make my own kefir. I have the kefir grains. I make my own kimchi, sauerkraut, fermented foods.
And it's not just good gut health; it's long-term natural storage too.
Yep. And now going on with that, but one more thing I want to get out there.
Sure, yeah.
It's the middle of winter time. You're sitting in your house. It's snowing like crazy outside, and you see a squirrel in the tree. What kind of climate control does that squirrel have? We live in the same temperature, basically, plus or minus 5 degrees all year long. That's not healthy for us.
Right.
I was up with my snowblower this winter, 3 hours in a snowstorm, no shirt on. Minus 14 degrees.
I did notice on your page a lot there, like you spent this past winter a lot of time, like
out in the cold,
being out in the cold. So like this, what did you learn from all this with this?
Well, like I'm not the expert on that,
sure.
But can you kind of plug somebody here? Can I throw a name out?
Absolutely, anytime you'd like.
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof.
You've never heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman? Been to Everest, top Everest?
Yes.
Shorts.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
I was the biggest non-believer in the world. The guy's a genius.
He broke right, Jody.
I believe this breathing, the breathing exercises also have spiritual connections, but I mean, I'm proving this for myself. He's on YouTube. He has a beginner, an intermediate, and advanced. Go to the beginner, get the
this guy right here. For anybody that's not familiar with him,
you go to that video and you do the beginner and do the breathing, and you'll be tingling. It'll have your pineal gland popping out of your head. The energy will be going nuts, and then you combine that with the cold showers, which basically slows down your pulse rate because now it's not your heart doing all the work. It's all the little capillaries and the blood vessels moving the blood, so your heart rate drops, and then you can go outside. And I proved it for myself. I'm the world's biggest skeptic. I never take anyone's word for anything. Yeah. If I see it and I do it, it works for me, I'll share it with the world. That guy's a genius. If you can get him on this show, incredible.
Hey, I'm the guy that will ask anybody. So like, there's Bandit knows. I am in so many people's inboxes out there because I'm not. I have always been taught to look at the CEO and the janitor as the same person, and as far as how I treat people, and like I believe that very truly, whether it be there's a variety of options out there. There really is, but I don't care. Like, if you come right towards me and you're being a respectful person, I'm going to be a respectful person to you too. And I've always believed the worst thing you could say is no. Like, that was when I decided to reach out to you. Of course, I was like, well, maybe he'll want to do this. I'm not sure if he will, but I'm totally going to ask him because I think he's cool. And I really wanted to share him with everybody else because like I do on this show, I bring folks on and I try to encourage other folks to go look at what they're doing and the works they're doing and the information they're setting out, because I may not be an expert in everything, but to me, when I see people that are, promoting stuff like this, I find you the only expert I know on Arcturian energy. And, there's people like that in different forms and different ways that I look to and I believe what they say and such. But I too am like you. I'm a big skeptic. I'll even tell you anything that I say, don't believe it. Go dig it up yourself. And because you're never going to learn or experience if you're not taking the experience for yourself. You can't always take someone's word. And what is it? George Carlin said you only believe half of what you see, and what is it? Half of what you see and none of what you hear, or whatever. And I add to that and say that you should also only believe half of what you read, because history and books and stuff in general have been so edited and messed with by man, because some men out there have a greed issue and just decided they needed to do things for their own nature. Like I'm neither big into religion myself either. I always cause a big kind of shitstorm because the Bible, the current Bible that everybody's carrying around, was translated and touched up by a psychopath. Like when you research King James, like he is no better than the psychopaths that are in charge today. And so, it makes me wonder and take things as a grain of salt. And of course, as you dig deeper into other worlds, other religions, other spiritualities and stuff, you do find, I have found some of certain similarities. We're all energy. We all need to be out here loving each other, because that's the only way that we're going to have this blue floating rock do what it's supposed to do the proper way. And we've got to figure out how to live harmoniously. Like it can be done. It can be done. I truly believe that we're just in a dark part of time, and this is going to be another dark ages in history, in the future, because like there's a way to be harmonious, and I think the world has been harmonious before. And there are people that now have used this kind of energy stuff that we've discussed this evening and other evenings. And, you'll hear from me for the rest of the time that this show exists. Like there's this energy that creates us all. And if we can all just harness it back the proper way, our lives are going to be a whole lot better. And we're not going to be having, depression because of our job and, not being able to make enough money, or not being able to have a house to live in and stuff like that. Or, I got to live in a van down by the river. You know what? Good for you. Bravo. Make the best of it. Like you could turn that into the things that you need, because you could connect yourself back closer to one, like closer to, as you've said tonight, you keep calling it creator. And I've heard it, used as the same way, because I believe there's something out there that's a higher power that has made for this. But I believe it's more of an energy type deal. And again, that's just what intrigued me about you and brought me to you to begin with, because I really like this kind of stuff.
I like the creator because I like how Jody called the force the creator, because it embodies, you can't say it's all masculine, because fellas, we know that energy, and in order to have energy, you got to have a positive and a negative force. And so, but like what religion do, it only addresses the masculine, and it suppresses the feminine. And let me tell you something, religion also, like with the Bible, right? The Bible is a book of light when you know how to look at the mythology in it. But when religion tells you what this means and that means and interpret it for you and do the thinking for you, and you looking at it literally, then you're missing out on all the beautiful gems that is trapped in those.
This goes back to, like Jody has said multiple times this episode, you've got to slow down and look at the simple.
Exactly.
The creator doesn't need a translator.
No, it don't. Nor do it need your help saving souls.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me the creator needs your help proselytizing to save us? Oh, come on. That's the biggest arrogance in the world for religion to think like that.
Absolutely.
If we go back over what we've discussed here, we've discussed plants that grow in our front yard. We've discussed the food. We've discussed like the climate, the temperature, the breathing. How much does all that cost?
Right.
Nothing. It's all free.
It does.
So everybody go out and take a piece of this and research it. It's there.
Yes.
It just takes action, right? We have to get people to go from the taking all the information in to the action and applying it now. And they all say they want to be like the Arcturians. Oh, I want to be like the Arcturians. They're so far advanced. Well, the higher dimensional energies are not separating themselves. They're not pointing fingers at certain groups of energies. They're united. They're a mass consciousness. So if we want to ascend and be like them, we got to come together on this planet. We're all equal. We're all the same. We all have love. So let's move forward that way.
And we have to do that. We got to go to the next level as a collective race of people. We got to go to the next level. And there is entities that are trying to sabotage our progress in that. Every life form, fellas, are on the evolutionary path, right? Man himself is on the evolutionary path. There's no one create, man. Can't they talk about some we created? No, man was already created. Don't listen to the bull junk, you know. And a lot of entities are trying to interfere with our progress. But back to what JB said, I believe humanity always is going to overcome.
We always overcome.
I can add something really out there if you want me to.
Go for it.
The old energy grid sections, Curry Net, Hartman grid, they're grids on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been said that certain buildings, certain structures are put at the intersection points where those grids cross, right?
Right.
And
right. On the ley line.
They get everybody angry, they get everybody fighting, they get all that emotion. It goes out into the energy and it filters along these grids and it's transmitted off the earth. Mm-hmm. And it's a fuel, a food supply. So they don't want harmony. They don't want peace. They don't want love. That's just something to think about when you're saying about entities that don't want us to evolve.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right on the money.
Right. Remember say food, somebody wrote a book back in the past called Food of the Gods. And they feed off our energy. He's definitely right. Disharmony is entities that get their sustenance off of our chaos. Order out of chaos, fellas.
Absolutely.
They create the chaos for a reason, fellas.
Sure.
They don't want you to know how to feed, how to properly. We're supposed to eat for longevity, not eat for taste. Oh, it tastes good, yeah, but it's it's destroying your kidneys. People don't think about. Look at most religious people. When you look at the congregation, are out of shape. Most doctors and nurses in hospital. How could you be a health practitioner and you yourself don't even have a proper diet to heal?
Look, I've worked in nursing homes. I've been a janitor in some like up north in the Northeast, actually Buffalo, New York, and
nice.
When I was doing this janitor job there, if it was one thing that I noticed, it is that the most unhealthy people in that place were the nurses.
Yes, man.
And I'm standing here watching them, you know, like sure, I was a janitor. Of course, I'm gonna have a smoke break, but I don't expect to go out there and see like all these unhealthy nurses drinking unhealthy drinks, you know, smoking cigarettes, carrying on, eating unhealthy foods and stuff, because I'm like, you guys are taught this stuff or supposedly taught this stuff, but yet here you are still destroying your own body. I trust the energy healer. Like I trust the Jodys, I trust, you know, the KellKells, I trust the people like my wife and, you know, other holistic, you know, writings that I've read and, you know, energy stuff that I follow. That's the kind of stuff I look for and trust into when there's something wrong with my body, because I believe that, you know, there's truth to it. And energy is as well. Like energy is the center point for all of it from where I stand, because at the end of the day, we're a frequency slowed down, back to the mech suit thing. And if you can use these tools that Jody shares with, you know, that you can find on his sites and stuff, or you use these other tools that you learn about it, however you learn about it, if you learn about this energy and you learn to manifest your reality in a proper way, it's going to be a different thing. You know, symbolism is hidden deep with all in this. You brought up the Trinity earlier, and you brought up, you know, my stuff back here. I actually made a fairly controversial video about this last night because I was explaining, you know, the actual chromatic, you know, type symbolism that's in this, then my own added symbolism to it, you know, like as far as like color scheme stuff that is intentional. And it's because it is a way to, you know, it's like the mantra thing, like you were saying with your little Arcturian pendants that you sell there, that you have, that you know, there's the mantra to it, and like there's technically a mantra that builds inside of all of this. And I truly believe in the power of something like this, because this started as the joke to be my background when I was, you know, doing memes and TikTok videos and silly things like that. And here we are. And like, I mean, you know, it's because I wanted that reality and I worked towards that reality. I found out years ago that I could control my reality more so than people are willing to believe. And I've seen it firsthand. I'm sure Jody's seen it firsthand. I know the two fine young gentlemen below me have seen it firsthand, that you can actually, the things you want in life, the goals you set in life, if you set them right and you really work towards them. I know it's old and beaten down grandpa type saying, but like, it will be a reality. It may not come first thing tomorrow, because there's a bunch that you're still having to fight through, but if you keep pushing forward, you're going to make your reality. Sure, procrastination doesn't help. You said you're the world's worst procrastinator, Jody. I might give you a run for your money, buddy, because I'll tell you, like, I can procrastinate some things away.
So another consideration there, and I hear it all the time over the years, everybody wants the universe to provide, right?
Right.
Well, you can't put conditions on how the universe provides.
Right.
You might say, I want some money, but so tomorrow you're offered a job, but you don't want to do that job because it's not how you want the universe to provide. That's not how it works.
And you're right.
That's like spot on stuff.
Hey, you know what, fellas? Like, JB, your flag, the Confederate flag is not really a racist. People don't.
It's Egyptian.
And it goes back to like what we're talking about on the topic, energy. So like with Hitler taking the.
Yes, because that's something they have done a lot in history.
Over it. They'll take a positive symbol and put a negative energy over it.
Yes.
To guard the people away from the truth.
I had this thought. You actually inspired this thought. I did a lot of thinking on this today, KellKell, because you sent me a message today that told me to not let everybody get to me. And of course, I'm not going to allow everybody to get in my head. I don't play that way. I'm going to give you the information regardless of if you want it or not. Right. And so I got to thinking, and I was like, you know what? Why are people letting 200 or so years of negative energy being placed over a symbol affect the way they think and portray that symbol, giving it that negative energy, instead of actually looking into what the symbolism of things mean? Because symbolism is a big thing. That is how our ancestors are trying to talk and communicate to you in the human form. It's trying to get to that internal psyche. And that, as I brought up, it's from ancient Kemetic stuff. This has to do with like Cyrus and Osiris and a bunch of different Egyptian type things, because the Egyptians were probably some of the most in tune beings, as far as like in tune to the earth and in tune to even like this Arcturian energy. And we all have different definitions from it. Like, I'm going to hear a million different definitions, but at the end of the day, I personally see it as all the same thing, because it's different roads to reach the same goal at the end of the day. And I encourage everybody to take their own road to that thing. But I just feel like I don't know. I was truly inspired by Jody here, and my wife's super into him. She follows him too, and I encourage everybody else here to follow him and check out his websites. I'll have them shared, because like it's an older energy. Like, it's an older form of this energy teaching that is lost. I mean, it's practically lost, because again, I had not heard of it before then. And so with that, Jody, can I ask, like, could you define the Arcturians for us? Because we've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, it comes, so basically in this section of time, reality, it's the Arcturians. Okay. But when you go way back, it's the star people, it's all the same thing. It's it's just different terminology for different terms to make it more acceptable to the people living in that time. Okay. And everybody gets hung up and goes, oh, it's the Arcturians were back in Atlantis and Lemuria. Why do you just stop there? There was a lot going on before Atlantis and Lemuria, right?
Yes.
Like, go way back. Like, it's almost like the spiritual community's been programmed, right? They only know certain markers, and that's it. And if you're outside that comfort zone or you're too simple, they won't accept it.
I encourage people to always look at something that even if you think it's the most wildest theory you've ever heard, I encourage you to take that information in, because there's going to be, hidden truths in there. And kind of like what you just said there, like if you get to a point and you stop, like you give up, you don't want to go any further with it, then I feel your mind's not as open, because you've got to take all this information that's on this planet in your own way,
and keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Don't get overwhelmed with it. It's so simple. It's right in front of everybody.
It is, and I think that's something else I've found in many different energy things and many different, even religions and other spiritual aspects. Like, people look over that keep it simple aspect. Like, that's something I think that has actually been told to a lot of us, but people really don't understand. Keep it simple. But everybody in this group, I believe, it understands it, and it's just about, like you said earlier in the show, you've got to come to a complete stop and take a deep breath and notice the world around you. Like, that's
and look for those wow moments, when you go through the day or whatever and something just clicks and comes together and you go, wow. I love those times, because those are realizations, right?
Absolutely. That's when you do your best thinking, is when you've got your mind shut off.
Absolutely.
You just get that wow moment.
Yeah.
So, this has been a great time. Guys, KellKell, Bandit, do you have anything else you'd like to add or ask Jody this evening?
Well, I'm still an amateur in this, but because I'm like everybody else in this group, I'm the new guy. I've only just now gotten to the point where I'm at right now, just a few years ago. For me, most everybody else in our group has lived this life for decades.
Sure.
So I was just here as almost a learning experience. But no, definitely some new information for me.
And I know Bandit, he's big into books, so he's probably going to be begging for that link.
I've already got it written down. No, there's nothing wrong with that, though. I mean, books are all you're going to have. In the end.
I have the farm. Bandit has the suburban farm.
Okay, so you have some land and you grow crops and stuff, and you have some animals. Do this for me, and you've seen my videos.
Yeah.
Just find random stones on the land.
Okay.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Size of a baseball. I don't care if you live in the city.
This is homework for everybody in Unconstitutional Awakening land.
If you have fence posts or anything,
okay,
put the stones on the fence posts around your property.
Okay.
And don't do anything. Just leave them there.
All right.
My parents didn't believe me. I did it here, and it helps harmonize the energy, and it lets the stones know you want to live with them. It took me years, but my parents finally did it. They put the stones on the fence posts.
Yeah.
All kinds of birds showed up. All kinds of wildlife showed up. All kinds of things, miraculous things. They couldn't believe it.
All right. Well, there's definitely fence.
You know what? You'll see people on TikTok doing gardening and farming. Look in the background. They got stones on the fence posts because they've been watching my videos.
I mean, going back a couple of 100 years ago, what they do with those, when they tilled up the land for the first time, but they built walls, and they had to do something with those rocks. They really did.
They had harmonized the energy. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm actually, and again, I tell everybody out here that's listening and watching and stuff. I encourage it as well. I actually do have a bunch of fence posts being out here with having farm animals and stuff, and don't think I'm about to get me and my kids out here and give this a go, because
and if you don't have a fence post, go to my video. You'll see I just tie them up with strings and ropes and put them in tree branches. It works the same way.
Yeah.
It costs nothing. It's free.
And certain rocks you could charge with energy. You could hold it in your hand, and you could project a thought into that rock. And you do that over a period of time, right? And then say like you want to heal someone, and when they come in proximity of that rock, you don't charge that energy, and you already done directed that energy toward them when they come in proximity. Energy is amazing, fellas, because you don't have to be in the same vicinity of the person that you're healing. You don't even have to tell them that you're healing them, bros. And let me tell you something else. The negative side of that is the same way. people will set up negative energy for you to get on your whiteness or your purity, your soul. You can shake their hand, bro, and you'll go to sleep and you'll have their bad dreams thinking it's yours, not even knowing that you done picked up something off their energy. Energy is everything.
You are very correct. I dream stuff is,
Oh, man.
I've actually studied dream psychology very, really far.
That's deep.
And like it's something I'm big into. And I actually did catch here on your page there, Jody, you were kind of talking about some dream stuff too here recently, and that's of course this is back to energy and random things coming up, like
liminal dreaming. Have you heard of that?
I have.
Oh yeah,
that's recently in the last 6 months really been happening to me in the morning time.
Yeah,
and it's like different realities, right?
Yeah,
like there's I almost believe it's people from another time coming here.
Okay.
They came to a house where I used to live across the street, and they were off about 12 years to line up with the time where I am now. It was really wild. So we can get into dream stuff sometime too. That's really
absolutely. We'll turn that into a whole episode, because dream stuff's that's I believe in it being, an access to the astral realm and stuff. And people of course look at me crazy, but like I don't, like I've studied in like the remote viewing and the astral travel type stuff. So I'll say it's real. You can call me cuckoo if you want, but I'll say it's real. And dreaming has a lot to do with it. And there's so many wild things that happen in this house alone that are just, like tied to dreams and stuff. My wife's very open about telling people about her dreams, because she can connect things that are going on in life currently to things that are like happening in dreams and travels that she's taken and stuff like that. And I think it's great. She's finally experiencing this stuff, because I thought I was the only one for many years and just thought maybe I was coming down with the case of the cuckoos.
Hey, Jody, like, I want to hear your advice to the audience for the newcomers that just walking away, stepping out the boxes. And you're 60, you have a lot of wisdom in you. You're not just researching, you're applying what you know. What could you give the audience? Where would you tell them to start for the beginners in this?
I would say, number one, you're not alone. Things that you are experiencing, we're experiencing, and others are experiencing. But it's very important to break away from the fear, like shut it off, step away from it. I know we all have lives and things are expensive, and we have to hustle to make a living. But just try and I tell people, follow your breath exercise. Just count your breathing, inhale and exhale, and count 1. Do that up to 20. If you lose count, don't worry, start over again. What it'll do is it'll quiet your mind. And myself, when I always said for years, I don't have time to meditate, right? I started 3 minutes a day. So if the viewers and listeners can just allot 3 minutes a day to follow your breath, your life will change. And to know you're not alone.
That is all fantastic stuff. And again, everyone out there that's listening and watching us now on BitChute, of course, too. If you didn't know, we're not only on Rumble, but we're on BitChute. So you can watch us on a couple channels.
Do you want to plug that other new one I mentioned earlier?
Yeah, and I'm going to be checking into this one that you were talking about earlier, Clubhouse. Is that where you
Clubhouse? Yeah. I'm on three nights a week for an hour. You can talk just like this, but the audience can engage us. They can come right in the room. Yeah. So you could have 300 people you could talk to.
I'm actually going to be looking into that. So you guys be paying attention for in the future out there, of course. And everybody that follows knows that you can get all of Jody's links in the description below, and you'll be able to get back to him and check out what he's got. Check out, he has courses, he has his book, and like he's a very wise man. And as he's mentioned a few times, you got to hustle. So everybody's got to hustle and make a living, and you guys can get out there and help support this guy a little bit and buy the stuff that buy what he's got going on, because he's teaching y'all something important. And I think that's why the energy brought him to me to bring him to you guys. and to get this voice heard and this information out there, because this is very important information in its own aspect. And I appreciate you, Jody, for joining us this evening and setting aside this time to come and hang out. And I do hope you come back and hang out again. I did see one last thing that I wanted to bring up is I seen you had like a traveling tour thing or something maybe that was coming up, or was that old?
Oh yeah, that's for local, like Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
We're doing some shows. They've opened up again. So we have the dates on there.
We do have listeners in Canada, so if you guys want to get out there and check him out, like he's going to be coming around, and I'll have all of these links out there for everybody to get to and for everybody to have. And I appreciate everyone being here this evening again, and I thank you. And Jody, is there any last words you'd like to give to everybody out?
Yeah, I just like to thank everyone. I had a fantastic time. This is definitely the best interview I've ever done. And I made some new friends. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm just buzzing. I'm heating right up. I'm charged right up now.
Fantastic. And so everybody out there, of course, as usual, we'll catch you guys again on Unconstitutional Awakening. Y'all have a great night.